The movie begins in a Japanese high school as a student named Shibuya Mo runs hurriedly towards the school's playground. She is rushing to meet her crush, Shusei Yagamusha, a transfer student who joined only a week ago. Shusei is a very good-looking man and already has a huge female fan following. Moments later, Mo reaches the playground and yells Shusei's name out loud. She then confesses her feelings to him in front of a crowd of onlooking students, but Shusei curtly points out that he doesn't find her appealing and leaves the poor girl to be humiliated. Inside the school building, Mo's best friend, Nishimori Aoi, is incensed by this public mockery. She blocks Shusei's way when the latter is headed towards his classroom. She chides the new student on his rude behavior, pointing out that her friend is a sensitive girl. Aoi adds that Mo had to work up her courage for weeks just to confess her feelings, but he has now made her the school's clown. However, Shusei is too arrogant to feel any remorse and dismisses all her complaints. He instead lunges at Aoi and puts his face uncomfortably close to her. The new student then asks if Aoi also has a crush on him or wants to get intimate with him. This angers Aoi, who then kicks him instinctively. Her temper quickly subsides as she sees the new student screaming while falling down the stairs. In the aftermath of this chaotic event, Aoi is forced to carry Shusei home after the school ends. The poor girl struggles to lumber him across the streets and up a flight of stairs as he gives her directions to his home. It is obvious that Shusei is exaggerating his injuries just to get a free piggyback ride home. After a while, the duo reaches the house where Shusei currently lives. Aoi catches her breath and looks up, only to see that it is the same house where she also has rented a room. She asks how long he has been living in this house and reveals that she too lives here. Shusei replies that he moved in a few days ago. It is then revealed that the two are actually next-door neighbors who had somehow never seen each other in the building. Meanwhile, Shusei takes full advantage of his alleged injury as well as Aoi's kind-heartedness. He makes her clean his room, all the while simply scrolling across social media. He refuses to relent and even manipulates her into cooking him dinner. On top of that, Aoi has to fetch all the ingredients from her room because he is conveniently out of groceries. While she toils in the kitchen, Shusei casually starts changing from his school uniform to home clothes. He even approaches an unaware Aoi while being completely shirtless. The poor girl is not used to this kind of casualness as she lives completely alone. When she turns around and sees him naked above the waistline, she recoils in panic. Aoi is so nervous that she ends up putting copious amounts of oil in the pan instead of water. The pan catches the flame and immediately triggers the room's fire alarm. Soon afterwards, a visibly nervous Aoi and a shirtless Shusei are being rained on by the sprinklers. The whole room gets drenched and the food is left inedible. After a while, the landlord arrives to check the possible damages made due to the water. She assesses the lights, flooring, and concludes that nothing is too seriously damaged. However, it will take at least a week to repair the electronics in the room. The landlord informs Shusei that there is currently only one unit available in the building which he can use for the time being. However, he replies that he will move in with his friend until this room is fixed. That friend happens to be none other than Aoi, who is left speechless. She looks at Shusei, who pretends to be injured and reluctantly agrees to this arrangement. However, having the new student over at her place is such a torment. He is too nonchalant for him and doesn't seem to have any respect for personal boundaries. Aoi carries all his stuff to her room, where he is casually strolling near her laundry. She rushes to hide her lingerie before he can see it, but trips and falls in this process. On the other hand, Shusei announces he will go take a bath and childishly makes fun of her polka dot underwear. As if to rub insult over injuries, Shusei comes out of the bathroom in nothing but his underwear. Aoi, who by this time has already prepared dinner, once again recoils in panic. She begs him to get dressed immediately, which he eventually does. The duo then sit down and have dinner, much to Shusei's delight. While eating, he is curious to know why she lives all by herself. She then reveals that her family moved to Tokyo after her father got a new job. However, she stayed behind as she didn't want to change schools in the middle of the term. Aoi also adds that she didn't want to leave Mo, who has been her friend since childhood. The scene shifts to the next day at school, where poor Aoi is still in a daze. She seems extremely exhausted by the events of the previous day. She even loudly sighs, remembering all the work she had to do while her history classes are going on. The whole class hears it, and her teacher asks if everything is okay. This is enough to snap Aoi back to reality, and she apologizes for her behavior. But while blankly staring outside her classroom window, she notices Shusei playing football with his friends. Only a day ago, he was limping due to pain, yet he appears to be completely fine now. She realizes she's been tricked all along and he isn't suffering from any injuries at all. A flashback from last night shows that Shusei dragged Aoi's mattress to the floor and slept on it. She had to adjust to sleeping on the floor. When she woke up early the next morning, she was shocked to see his arm casually on her. Then later, Aoi packed bland rice and cucumber for lunch as she was running late for school. All the while, Shusei was still snoring on her mattress. Back in the present, poor Aoi comes to terms with the fact that she was fleeced into being Shusei's servant. Later at lunchtime, she tries to tell Mo about the tricky situation she's in. The latter, however, still seems to be completely smitten by the new student despite the ugly rejection. Just then, one of their classmates comes running in with some hot news. They learn that one of the students got kicked out from school because she was living together with her boyfriend. It is revealed that their school strictly cracks down on students' romantic relationships. This is enough for Aoi to keep her situation a secret. Later that day, the girls notice Shusei in the school's corridor. Many of them encourage Mo to once again approach him, but before she can say anything, Shusei calls out to Aoi, who is standing nearby. He has the keys to her room and tries to give it to her. The latter, however, doesn't want anyone to know that they are living together and runs towards him immediately. It is obvious that he is just teasing her, but she immediately snatches the keys and tells him not to acknowledge her publicly. However, this event is enough to trigger suspicions from the girl gang. Mo and two other students approach Aoi and ask if there is anything between her and the new student. Aoi quickly shoots down the idea and says that she had dropped her key on the way. He simply found them lying by the street and gave it back to her. This fake story of kindness only serves to make Shusei more popular among the girls. Back at home, Aoi does some damage control by planning to set her personal boundaries straight. She puts sticky notes on the walls, the fridge, and even on the bathroom door. These contain messages reminding him not to walk naked in the house, try not to consume a month's supply of food in a single day, and to knock on the bathroom door before entering. In the back of her head, however, she is worried about Mo not knowing about her situation. Aoi doesn't want to hurt best friend by staying with the man she has a crush on. She then sets up a temporary curtain wall to put a distance between them when they sleep. While she is doing all that, Shusei comes home with his friend Sato Ryosuke. Aoi is startled and quickly hides under the blanket. She is scared that if anyone sees her sharing a room with a guy, the rumors will spread like wildfire. That may result in her, as well as Shusei, getting rusticated from the school. On the other hand, the latter doesn't seem to care about it. He sees her foot sticking out and knows that she's hiding under it. He then purposely sits on top of her. Even when she signals him to get off, Shusei completely ignores her. Fortunately for her, Ryosuke goes out to the balcony when he is informed that a girl lives next door. This gives her the opportunity to push Shusei off and confront him. She is extremely irritated and punches him in the abdomen, but before she can say anything, Ryosuke comes back in and is stunned to see a girl there. He thinks this room belongs to his friend Shusei and gets extremely excited at the prospect of a girl living next door. Aoi, on the other hand, doesn't want to entertain any silly boys in her room and excuses herself to go out. However, Aoi begins to regret her decision to leave as it is raining cats and dogs outside. She doesn't have an umbrella and is forced to find shelter outside a local corner store for a while. There, she notices that there is a sale going on and gleefully enters it to check what's on offer. She then meets Wataru Sanju, the store's owner, who gladly welcomes her. It is obvious that they're good friends who have known each other for a long time. Since she loves olives, Sanju promises to give her a pickle recipe she'll like. He also notices that she has caught a cold and lends her his jacket. The salesgirls in the store gossip about the duo, debating whether they are in a relationship. It's rather obvious that he's into her, but sadly, it's just one-sided. Shortly afterwards, Aoi goes back to her building and cautiously enters her room. She is glad to find Shusei alone and warns him not to bring any friends over again. He, on the other hand, notices that she is shaking and pulls her closer. He then puts his hand on her forehead and realizes she has a cold. Shusei also notices her wearing men's jacket and asks where she got it from. When she replies that the owner of the corner store gave her the jacket, Shusei is surprised. He knows quite well that she doesn't have a boyfriend, and Aoi can't argue with that because it's true. Right then, they hear a knock on the door, and the conversation abruptly ends. She pushes Shusei to the side and opens the door to find Sanju waiting for her. The store owner kindly gives her the recipe he promised a while ago. Knowing that she's neighbors with a boy, he also tells her to be careful. When Sanju is gone, Shusei jeers at her obvious attempt to act cute in front of the store owner. Aoi tries to explain, but gets silenced when Shusei puts a medicine patch on her forehead. The following morning, Mo drops by Aoi's apartment on her way to school. Unfortunately for her, she sees Shusei and her best friend on the balcony of Aoi's apartment. Although the latter lies that Shusei is just her next-door neighbor, it is obvious that Mo is heartbroken. Later that afternoon, the landlady holds a welcome party for Shusei. Joining them are Senju, Mo, Ryosuke, Shusei's elder brother and ex-girlfriend, Satsuki. There's a spiteful aura surrounding Satsuki, and Aoi feels it right on. The ex-girlfriend, as well as others in the party, easily see that something is brewing between Shusei and Aoi. Thus, Satsuki later reminds Shusei of a promise that he made to her years ago. Before they part ways, Satsuki frankly tells Aoi that even if she likes Shusei, she'll never have a chance with him. Sanju and Shusei too have a one-on-one talk. The store owner advises the hotshot high schooler not to play with Aoi's feelings, and Shusei derides the obvious warning. Things start getting complicated for Aoi as that night she stays awake thinking about Shusei and Satsuki. She can't deny it anymore and realizes that she's starting to fall for Shusei. Her train of thoughts is suddenly interrupted by deafening thunder, and suddenly she's scared out of her wits. Shusei is aware of it and offers his hand. A few days later, the landlady gives Aoi 2 tickets to a local fun park as she can't go there herself. Aoi thanks her and thinks of going to the fun park with Mo. However, Shusei grabs one of the tickets and tells her to wait for him there after school is over. That evening, the duo visit the park where they have an absolute blast. Shusei even holds Aoi's hand and jokingly says he might end up falling for her. They later take a break from arcade games and dizzying roller coaster rides by sitting down in a restaurant. Suddenly, Aoi notices a poster for the annual firework festival and excitedly expresses her desire to attend it this year. There are urban legends which state that couples who kiss during the 7th heart-shaped firework in the festival will be blessed. Shusei laughs at her for believing such childish thoughts, but Aoi is dead serious. He, in return, pokes fun at her, saying that he will go with her because he is sure she won't find anyone else. Although this comment was made in jest, it leaves Aoi thinking deeply. She stays pondering on the restaurant table while Shusei starts walking back home. She suddenly snaps back to reality and tries to follow him, but he walks too fast for her to catch up, leaving her behind. Just then, 2 girls from their school start following her. They had earlier seen Shusei in the park with a girl and want to investigate who that lucky lady is. Aoi freaks out and starts running before the girls can catch up to her. Just as she is hurrying past a corner, Shusei pulls her into an alleyway. There is unresolved romantic tension between the two, and they stare at each other in awe. Aoi closes her eyes and waits for a kiss, while he too leans in but stops at the last second. Instead, he tells her to be careful next time. The following day, Aoi finally tells Mo that she's living with Shusei and is in love with him. Mo, ironically, is not angry at the news, rather expresses her happiness. She also reveals her own secret. Mo has started seeing Ryosuke for the past few days. However, that evening, Satsuki comes to pay Shusei a surprise visit at his apartment. She sees him entering the building with Aoi and is clearly upset about it. She then also learns that they live together and urges Shusei to go home. However, he refuses to budge and exclaims that Aoi is just a roommate. Shusei goes inside, leaving Aoi to be terrorized by the spiteful ex-girlfriend. She tells Aoi that even though they've separated, Shusei couldn't possibly forget his promise. Following this unexpected visit from the ex-girlfriend, Aoi is curious about what really happened between the two. She visits Shusei's elder brother, Soju, and asks him about it. But elder bro is a cheeky personality and wants a kiss in exchange for the information. Aoi desperately wants to know Shusei's past and thus allows Soju to kiss her. She is deeply disgusted, but now she knows the truth. Turns out, Shusei and Satsuki grew up together in the same neighborhood. Shusei had a dysfunctional family, and during his lowest moments, Satsuki was always there for him. They soon became a couple, but the relationship didn't last long because of her selfish attitude. 2 years ago, Satsuki wanted to patch things up and tried calling Shusei several times. However, when he ignored her calls, she waited outside her home for hours in the cold and nearly died. A distraught Shusei blamed himself and vowed to be by her side until she found her own happiness. Following this revelation, Aoi realizes that Shusei actually doesn't love her. She goes to a nearby park and cries her feelings out. Shortly afterwards, Shusei also visits Soju at work, and the latter offers to give him some money. Elder Bro also reveals that Aoi visited him earlier and that he told her everything about Shusei's past. But he doesn't stop there and adds how Aoi reacted oddly when he kissed her. Shusei gets riled up and punches Soju in the face. He then finds her crying in the park and teasingly scolds her for not taking care of herself, even though he told her so. He also takes a picture of her crying and tells her she's ugly when she cries. To her utter surprise, he kisses her tears away. Then, in the hopes of making her laugh, he pushes her down the hill. It's funny how she comically rolls down the hill, and they both laugh in the end. As days pass by, things are back to normal, and both have become fully aware of the unspoken relationship between them. Even if Shusei hasn't really expressed his feelings, Aoi is content just to have him around. A few weeks later, Shusei's birthday arrives, and preparations are in full swing. Aoi spends her time cooking and baking, knowing that he loves her food. On the other hand, the birthday boy is spending time doing errands for Satsuki. The spiteful ex-girlfriend steals Shusei's phone when he is not looking and texts Aoi, pretending to be him. She makes up some lies that Shusei won't be going home because they'll be making out that night. Despite all this, Aoi still waits for him back at their apartment. Thankfully, he comes and happily eats the food she prepared. Aoi watches him eat and can't contain her emotions. She sheds some tears, and Shusei innocently asks, "What's the problem?" Aoi replies that she just wants to be happy, but doesn't explain further. This pisses off Shusei, and he rudely shoves her down and tries to force a kiss on her. He continues to insult her by asking if this is what she meant when she said she wants to be happy. Stunned, she looks at him with disbelief and disappointment while he leaves in haste. But Aoi is unwilling to give up her love so easily and runs outside after him. Drenched and drained by the rain, Aoi confesses her love, but he remains undeterred. He says he can't continue with that kind of situation anymore. He doesn't really know how to love, and he can't fulfill his promise to take her to the festival anymore. Finally, Aoi concedes that her love may never be reciprocated. She realizes that Shusei still has unresolved issues with Satsuki. This creates an unspoken distance between the two, which is only intensified when Shusei's room is repaired. As if to end the unspoken relationship, Aoi finds her key outside her door, along with a pretty necklace. It's his one last gift, and Aoi can only cry for her unfulfilled love. On the other hand, Shusei busies himself with work. One evening, Soju unexpectedly visits him and expresses his annoyance over Satsuki's non-stop calls. She wants him to help her get back with Shusei, but Elder Bro doesn't think that is a good idea. He is fully convinced that Satsuki is a bad person who sees the high schooler as a pet and nothing else. Soju then urges his younger brother to just forget his promise to Satsuki and move on. After all, he can never really fulfill his promise if he doesn't love her. And the maddening part is, he's only using the situation to hide from his own feelings. Simply said, Shusei needs to man up and confess his love. A few days pass by and the day for the fireworks festival arrives. Moe, who is headed to the celebrations with Ryosuke, coerces her best friend to partner up with Sanju. But Ryosuke is close friends with Shusei and doesn't like what's happening. He heads to Shusei's apartment right before the festival can truly get underway. There, he confronts his old friend for always running away from love and urges him to take responsibility for once. Mo, who is also present there, adds that Aoi is currently enjoying the festivities with Sanju, and everybody knows what will happen during the last heart-shaped firework. Couples kiss for divine blessing. Becoming fully aware of his faults, Shusei gets worked up. He can't possibly get there in time, so Ryosuke offers him his bike. Soon after, Ryosuke realizes that without his bike, he and Mo won't be able to get to the festival themselves. But it is a sacrifice that they are willing to pay. In the meantime, Sanju and Aoi are all alone in a huge observation wheel at the festival. The fireworks have started and several couples kiss as it is believed to bring good fortune. Sanju then confesses his feelings for Aoi and leans in for a kiss too. But the poor girl is so deep in her feelings for Shusei that she refuses and leaves the observation wheel on her own. Moments later, Shui finds Aoi all alone and crying near the edge of the festival ground. He apologizes for the pain he caused her and admits he didn't know what falling in love was. He was just too afraid to face his own feelings, but now he has realized that he is in love with her. She, on the other hand, can't help but bawl her eyes in front of him. She was also suffering from deep emotions, but unlike him, she chose to face them. But even if it hurts her, she wants to be with him. After weeks of turmoil, the two finally admit their love for each other. Shusei takes a picture of her crying and tells her she's ugly when she cries. Just then, the last heart-shaped firework goes off in the sky, and he kisses her tears away.